Hello, and welcome to this video on implementing DHCP v4. This is a 7.4.1 packet tracer exercise. We're going to be walking through configuring a router as a DHCP server, configuring a DHCP relay, and then configuring the router 2 as a DHCP client. We have our addressing table right up here, so let's jump right into configuring a router as a DHCP server. Now, with this, the first thing that one has to do is do the excluded IP addresses. And in order to do that, we are going to take a look. It's at R2. In R2, we enable config T, and our first one is of course going to be associated with R1. The IP addresses, the static IP addresses, they say 10 of them, so it starts here at the 192.168.10.1 and goes up through 192.168.10.10. So let's IP DHCP excluded address 192.168.10.1, and we can use the range here, 10. All right. Next thing we do on the R3 side. Now, what's the R3 side? It's going to be pretty much the same except for .30.1. All right. Now we can, we're going to then move on, and we're going to be configuring our DHCP pools, which we're going to be doing an R1 LAN and an R3 LAN. And these are case sensitive. And in order to do this, the three things that we must do the corresponding network address, the default gateway, and the IP address of the DNS. The default gateway is going to be these 192, each R1 and R3 associated IP address that we see right here and right here. So in order to do that, we're going to first do our first LAN. To do that, IP DHCP pool, and it's going to be R1-LAN. All right. Now, first thing is the network, and that's going to be 192.168.10.0 because it's the network address. We do the subnet mask, which is in our addressing table as well. Next thing is the default router. The default router, of course, is the right up here for R1, and enter. And then we do the DNS server. And the DNS server is given to us in our addressing table here as well, right here. And so we add that in. We are now done with the first pool. What is next? Well, we have to do the R3 LAN. And so we are going to do the same thing, except from the R3 LAN side of things. All right, so the first thing, network 192.168.3.0, because it's the network address, remember, and we have to have the subnet mask. Now we do the default router. Default router in this case is the 192.168.3.0.1, 30.1, and DNS server is the same as before as well. All right. Now we are going to, we have part one finished. We've configured R2 as the DHCP server. Now we are moving on. We're going to be doing as relay agents, and then also getting the IP config renew so that we can get IP addresses from our DHCP server. Now, the one thing that we want to note here, relays are basically taking from this and relaying it to R2. So we need to take a look at our interface, which will be G00, and connecting it up with the proper helper address on this side so it knows where to go when we get there. And in order to do that, let's go ahead and we're going to be opening up our R1. Now, all right, enable config T. We're configured now in our terminal, and it's going to be our interface G 0-0. Now we're in our interface, and now we're connecting up that relay. We're connecting that interface at the router to the interface on router 2. So we're helping our address out by, hey, where do we need to go here? And that piece of it is going to be this 10.1.1.2 on the R1 side. So 2. All right, we have that one configured. Now we have to jump over to the R3. R3, we're doing the same exact thing. We're connecting up its associated interface with G00, and that one is going to be connected to this one, which is 10.2.2. So we got to do the IP helper address, which is 10.2. All right, now is the fun part. We jump into our corresponding PCs, and in order to tether those up once we got those relays running, we just run at the command line ipconfig space renew. We should get, yep, we got our DHCP address. As you can see, it's in the 10 network, and its device address is 11. So that's good. Now we have to do it on this PC2. We do the same exact command. And now we should be getting 1.3.11, so it's in our network, proper network, and we have the device ID. All right, we have now configured the DHCP relay. Now, this is the last part. We're configuring R2 as the DHCP client. The way that we do that, we go back to our addressing table. We're going to look at and say, oh, here interface G0/1 of R2 is supposed to be DHCP assign. All right, so we open. We are already at our config, so all we have to do is -1, enter the interface, and it is pretty simple. IP address, DHCP, no shutdown for good measure. All right, and we have completed all 3 parts of Packet Tracer for implementing DHCP version 4. We have 100% here, so we hit everything that we needed. Thank you, and make sure to check out my other videos on networking and cybersecurity. Thank you.